Good morning, very good morning to all of you. We are the team of Faculty of Management and Finance from the University of Colombo. So let me introduce the team. Our teammates are Gihini, Gajani, Tarini, and myself, Jemmy. So let me go through the flow of our presentation. We'll be first conducting an introduction, and then we'll conduct together with the problem identification, and then we'll be showing you the ultimate solution, Hexa Vanguard, and then followed up by the conclusion with them. So to begin with the introduction, we will first look into the status quo of WeChat Pay. Right, so as you all know, this very successful company in China, they have been initiated in 2013 under the parent company named Tencent, with a user base of almost 1.2 billion users, a massive user base. And which is one of their key target markets is SMEs. They have been the driving force in every developing economy. So even in today's presentation, the SME target market has been the key focus as well. And then when it comes considering the profit growth of WeChat Pay, they have been experiencing a year-on-year growth of nearly 41%, a good financial position that they are in. So with all these pluses in their hands, still they are facing challenges when it comes to how they serve the SMEs. So they have been very critical on making sure that through WeChat Pay, the payment services are being granted, several different types of payment services are being offered to SMEs. But still, when they do that, they have been facing several challenges. So if you look into those challenges, one of the key things is the payment challenge, and also the merchant security assurance challenge, where the SMEs are being suspicious on the security of the payments through like QR codes and all. And then the interconnection, that the challenges that they have when they interconnect with business partners and other websites such as Alibaba or AliExpress. And then again, the payment confirmation challenge, where they are being doubtful that their customers would pay them the exact amount that they are buying. So there have been situations of customers not paying the exact amount. So such challenges. And then again, the business management challenges, because SMEs are like sort of entrepreneurs, they're new to the business, so they have sort of lack of IT knowledge, and that causes these business management challenges. And also when it comes challenges related to how well that they could segment their customers. So with all these challenges, the aim is for WeChat is to provide sustainable solutions for these SMEs. So the team has come up with a comprehensive holistic solution for all these issues. So one solution in one package, which is none other than Hexa Vanguard, a comprehensive solution for all these challenges. A package of solution which contains which covers 6 different areas altogether. So it will be from business profiles, IoT, to data security, to mutual transfers, and replacing QR code with NFCs, and then providing comprehensive training for SMEs. So with all these solutions, it will make sure that the WeChat will be able to offer SMEs the IT solutions that are most needed by the SMEs, and also drive these SMEs towards sustainable growth. So now let me invite Gihini to explain to you on how well that we are implementing, or to elaborate more on Hexa Vanguard. Gihini?
Thank you, Jamin. So let me now start off with the first step of our holistic solution, which is Hexa Vanguard. So we have identified certain prominent challenges that exist between small, medium enterprises and WeChat Pay. So one thing is that they can't differentiate between their personal data and also their business data, which is all very much clear through Miss Liu's apparel business case. And also there are silent merchants who expect like a return right after getting registered, and they do not want to wait. Like they just want immediate revenue from WeChat Pay. And also we have also identified a knowledge gap between the SMEs and their way of using this app. And also, we have identified a problem of fixed device and fixed location in the case of Mr. Sun in his barbecue business, where he and his wife faced. So looking at this, what we suggest is a business profile option. What we do is, this is the exact same app. The only thing is, once you log in, you are given the option of choosing between your personal profile and the business profile. So this business profile enables you to engage in your business transactions more viably, and it will keep you away from your personal life. For example, this is equipped with a verification period. During this period, you are able to engage in safe business transactions without waiting for your verification. As in, like, you will have to abide to certain terms and conditions, but still you would get a revenue right after being registered. And also, this is equipped with FAQ videos, which is to fill in the knowledge gap between the SMEs and the WeChat Pay app. And moreover, we are facilitating a geolocation facility, which is several users can log into one business profile. Let's say there's a partnership, so the partners can easily log into one business profile and to engage in their business despite the place and the location and the devices that they are using. So if we look at the feasibility of this step, is that given that the parent company of WeChat Pay is Tencent, which is a well-established business entity, there are many users of WeChat Pay at the moment, and looking at the good asset figures of this entity, I think this step is a quite viable and a timely solution. And if you look at the potential limitations that might arise from this step, is that the number of users that might log in at the same time. So we kind of recommend the WeChat Pay to be vigilant about the number of users logging in at the same time, also about the CRM. So they already have WeChat friends, so they have certain networks that has been built up. So these networks should be maintained to further their time as well. So these are the two aspects that they should keep in their minds if they are moving forward with this first step of our Hexa Vanguard holistic solution. Dharani?
When looking at the next step of our solution, Internet of Things can be implemented to provide a personalized user experience to the SMEs. It is important for WeChat Pay to carry out the customer segmentation in an effective manner. The needs of the SMEs are very diverse, and it is important for WeChat Pay to cater to these different needs of them. A personalized user experience also includes various recommendations and suggestions that can be given. Enhanced customer engagement, better customer retention, and improved productivity can be stated as some of the benefits that can be gained through the implementation of IoT. Moving on to the feasibility of implementing IoT. It is financially possible, and the technical feasibility can be ensured through the proper usage of devices and network requirements. Implementation can also be done within a short period of time. A robust data management system can ensure that it can be implemented in an efficient manner. When it comes to the different customer segments, IoT can prioritize the areas that require attention, and this can be leveraged to further the goal of addressing the specific needs of SMEs. Moving on to the limitations, there are two main limitations of implementing IoT, and they are employee resistance and security issues. The employees may worry about their job security, and this can remain as a limitation. We can overcome this through proper communication facilitated with the employees. There can also be various security issues that may arise due to this implementation of IoT. Now, I invite Gajani to present the next step of our solution.
Why we need data security? The main issue that we were able to come up with why we need data security, or to address why we need data security, is basically the fear among the merchants that using QR codes can reveal sensitive information about their business data as well. And another issue that we were able to identify was the lack of safety assurance whenever they start to do transactions with the customers. Under data security, the solution steps that we were able to come up with is having a specific data security plan specifically for SMEs, which could protect from third-party access and also cyber security attacks as well. Another measure that we would be able to recommend is OTP verification system rather than going with a mobile broadcast once the transaction has been confirmed. So OTP verification system is much more convenient for customers, at the same time merchant. This enables to have a protection between revealing the sensitive information or the confidential information between both the parties. And data encryption system and accessing firewalls, which have been already implemented by WeChat Pay, is a good data security measure that they can maintain in order to protect their confidential data against data breaches as well. So this particular measure provides data governance, and which also provides sustainability to WeChat Pay in long run as well. So this aligns with one of the objective of the WeChat Pay, that's basically tech for good, which is a part of the vision statement of WeChat Pay. Moving on with the feasibility of data security. As you all know, that there's a big infrastructure that the Tencent Holdings is maintaining based on a privacy by design approach, where they have a lot of advanced technologies incorporated, like data encryption, data masking, etc. So giving up a data security plan and an OTP verification system is technically feasible, and at the same time maintaining adequate liquidity. Reviewing the financial statements of WeChat Pay, we were able to identify that they're having a liquidity ratio of 45% approximately in the last year. We predict that there will be an adequate liquidity ratio in the upcoming years as well. So this is financially feasible solution as well. And at the same time, it is operationally feasible, because this is one of the major concerns that both the customers and the merchants have in order to incorporate IT solutions for their businesses. Moving on with the limitations for data security, we considered that it might be too advanced for SMEs in order to handle these data security plans and data security actions. So because they might have lack of awareness and lack of IT skills in order to incorporate this within their businesses. So one main solution that we can recommend them is to give proper awareness sessions or trainings as well. And at the same time, these security measures can be too expensive in order to maintain in the long run as well. So we recommend that WeChat come up with proper solutions to overcome these drawbacks in future as well. Moving on, Vihina.
Yes, so we have identified that one of the potential goals of WeChat Pay is to implement financial inclusion. So that is why we recommend mutual transfers. What happens here is that the SMEs that register for business profiles, after verification, they are given the ability of exchanging mutual funds with other SMEs. So this will be empowered by smart contracts in order to maintain the effectiveness of this service and the trustworthiness. If you look at the feasibility of this step, is that, move on. If you look at the feasibility, there's a positive return on investment, obviously, given the best performance of this entity, and also there's in-house expertise. And it is obvious that this is a conducive solution which provides a timely solution for a potential need of many of the SMEs. So if you look at the limitations of this step, is that certain SMEs might have this suspicion towards this. They might be suspicious whether this is safe or whether we can we trust our funds with this. That is why we should implement a way of building awareness about smart contracts, which allows instantaneous transactions between these registered SMEs on the business profiles of WeChat Pay.
Moving on with NFC and giving printed QR codes to the SMEs. So NFC, building an NFC reader within the WeChat Pay app itself, it's quite flexible enough, and merchants do not have to spend quite an amount that is similar to purchasing POS terminals as well. And at the same time, giving merchants printed QR codes will decrease their cost in printing QR codes separately in a good version. And at the same time, NFC payments would decrease this particular challenge, that basically skipped payments, where customers trying to enter the amount wrongly in the particular app, where they like amount wrongly in that particular app, where the merchants would find it difficult to track the customers once the transaction ends. And at the same time, lack of awareness is another issue if we are going to implement NFC readers, or if we are going to give printed QR codes among the SMEs. Quickly, if we go through this feasibility analysis of NFC payments and giving printed QR codes to SMEs. In terms of financial feasibility, NFC is a good opportunity for SMEs to invest in, because we recommend that the ROI and profit margins would increase through NFCs, because most of the target market in Chinese market use smartphones, which could be easily done transactions through these NFC contactless payments. In terms of technical and time feasibility, as you all are aware, that there's a wider range of infrastructure that is Tencent Holdings is already using. And in terms of time feasibility, NFC payment method can be implemented within a medium range of time feasibility as well. In terms of NFC payments, operational feasibility, it's a quite feasible in terms of operation, because WeChat wallet is something that they have already implemented by WeChat, but not implemented for SMEs. So if we start to implement WeChat wallet among SMEs as well, it would be operationally feasible as well. Given that giving a printed QR codes to SMEs, it is somewhat financially feasible as well, because we have the feasibility, like WeChat Pay has the feasibility to allocate an amount for advertising cost in their budget as well, which could increase their revenue streams as well. Moving on with the limitations. So the main limitation that we face in terms of NFC payments is there's no law governing that maximum amount of payment that can be transferred through this NFC payment. And in terms of QR code, like giving a printed QR code to the SMEs, it might be quite expensive, because we are targeting a large target audience in terms of SMEs. So these are the limitations that we were able to come up with, but WeChat Pay can come up with solutions in order to overcome those drawbacks as well in long run.
There are a few merchants who lack the required IT skills, and this has resulted in a delay when it came to them using WeChat Pay. What could be done to overcome this challenge is to provide training to them, and this includes certain workshops and seminars that can be conducted in order to enhance their IT skills. This will ultimately result in the merchants using WeChat Pay without any delay in an effective manner. Moving on to the feasibility of this part of the solution, it is operationally feasible since it would greatly contribute to the usage of WeChat Pay. Providing training is financially feasible, and it can be done within a very short period of time. When looking at its limitations, there can be a lack of participation of the SMEs. It is also important that the effective delivery of training is ensured, since this can have a huge impact on the usage of WeChat Pay in the long term. Now I invite Jamin to summarize the solution that was presented.
Yeah, so now you all might have gained a comprehensive understanding on how Hexa Vanguard works and how well Hexa Vanguard would provide IT solutions that will directly cater the requirements, specifically cater the requirements of SMEs, and also how well this Hexa Vanguard package of solutions would provide SMEs with sustainable growth options to grow in future in a long-term basis. So it is pretty much clear that Hexa Vanguard is a win-win situation for both WeChat Pay as well as for the SMEs. So we hope WeChat would implement this and make sure that they achieve their parents' ultimate goal, which is to make sure that they create value for the SMEs as well as they provide better technology for everyone. So this is the end of our presentation, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. It's now time for the Q&A session. Judges, please make the questions short and concise and leave your thoughts and comments for the feedback session. The 15-minute countdown starts now. Let's hear the first question.
Hello, this is Amy. Thank you for the presentation. It's a good one. You mentioned about a lot of good solutions to help the SMEs, but I haven't seen the timeline. So what is your timeline?
So let me answer. So we are thinking of having a timeline of, because it is a very comprehensive plan. We are specifying a timeline of 1 year. So because 6 months, we'll separate it into between certain solutions as we have said. From first one being business profile, so we'll make sure that it will smoothly run over a year, and by the end of 12 months, that means 1 year, that SMEs will have access to all these 6 solutions.
Okay, thank you.
You may notice that mainland China is a big places. Okay, so when you design the solutions or roll out the solution, do you have any particular cities or customer groups that you will focus on?
First off, we would like to start off from the main region. Sometimes like this is a very comprehensive and a holistic solution. I think rather we should choose one region at a time, because given Sri Lanka is a very small island, sometimes the region in China is maybe 100 times bigger than Sri Lanka island itself. So one region would be enough just to implement this first step of business profile, and then to see the viability of this and to move on forward. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you that pick one region to have a trial first. But when you pick the region, any specific considerations?
Yes. So given the preparation time, we did not have time to do like a very profound research on Chinese regions. So that is where we would like to get the aid of Chinese researchers, and they would know what is the exact suitable region that we could easily execute this without like disrupting the day-to-day lives of the Chinese population of that region. There could be certain regions where we can't do experiments because they are obviously busy with their day-to-day lives, and it is not fair to disturb their day-to-day transactions and everything just to experiment implementation. So this is a point that where we would like to get the help of the researchers of specifically native researchers of China, so that they could recommend us a better place, a better region to start off our implementation.
Yeah, to add to that, I would say that we would like even tier 1 regions where the literacy with regard to IT is high. So it will be much convenient. So then moving on to like tier 2 and tier 3 regions, so which will make sure that we could smoothly follow up with the, because when the literacy of IT is high, it will be much easier to implement. Please think like that as well.
Yeah. And also when we move on with the project, that is like towards the latter part, we will be having a very strong training program as well. So that is where we could use our project to implement training in regions where the technical literacy is not that high compared to other regions in China.
So what are the key success factors that you are going to measure for your project? How do you consider this is a big success? Revenues, or because there's the case also mentioned about ESG?
Yes. So one of the main KPIs that we would like to use is like the people who would sign up for the business profile. So the number of business profiles that is being signed up within a given period of time would give us a bit of an insight about how far this is going to be sustainable and how this can be implemented and how people are flexible towards this new section of this well-known app. This the application, the feature that is quite unfamiliar to them. So yes.
And also, if I were to say, like in Tencent's ESG objective itself says value for users. So we will have the KPI of user satisfaction or SME merchant satisfaction with these solutions to measure as a KPI, because their satisfaction is very critical in making sure that the ESG is achieved as well as it is being sustained. The solution is being carried forward in the long term. So we will also use the merchant satisfaction, SME merchant satisfaction rate, like in terms of surveys and all, to as a key key success factor as well. Yeah, guys, I need to
add to that, we will ensure that we collect enough feedback to ensure that we have been a success, like our solution has been very successful and we have satisfied the diverse needs of the various SMEs.
To add on that, in terms of feedback, I think it is important that we focus on customers as well. At the end product, merchants will be focusing on customers. So both customers and merchants' feedback would do good, because I think it is also one of the key factors that we can include in those as well, to find out how they are facilitating transactions through the IT solutions that we recommend them to use.
Okay, you mentioned about NFC versus QR code. So what is your solution? What is your recommendation? Whether the SME should use NFC or QR code?
Yes, so basically what we thought was probably we will be giving printed QR codes to the SMEs if they find it hard to print QR codes, because they say to print a good version of QR code itself, it costs more higher. So if they are if they're backing up from using QR code, NFC is something that we can also use as an alternative payment system, because NFC is something like emerging technology, I would rather mention, because rather than using NFC through a POS terminal, what WeChat could come up with an innovative solution is using those NFC readers through the WeChat Pay app itself. So implementing those NFC readers in WeChat Pay itself will reduce the cost of purchasing POS terminal. So there is no need for going for a POS terminal. So what happens is customer will directly once the transaction is done, customer will directly have an NFC transaction with the mobile device that the particular merchant is using through that particular NFC reader that has been implemented already. So this is most like a cost-efficient method as well, but still we will be providing printed QR codes. If the customer feels it is much efficient to use the QR codes, then they can use that as well. And other than that, another alternative that we can provide is NFC payments as well, because it is much, I would say it is much feasible to implement as well. And at the same time, it is much feasible to implement to a large crowd in that particular region as well, rather than providing printed QR codes, which can consume time, if you say.
Okay, thank you.
For the SME, do you have think about which type of SME? You mentioned about pilot or initial launch. How would you pick the SME other than the city we talk about? What type of business that you will focus on at the beginning?
I'll take this question. So during the preparation time, we were discussing that SMEs that are involved in day-to-day lives, like the grocery shops that we have in Chinese markets, and where the customers can really in day-to-day life dealing with small-scale and medium-scale enterprises would be our first option, that we can implement this thing, because there's more of a customer desires that involved in those SMEs, so that in order to meet those customer desires, we could implement those innovative solutions with the small scale and medium scale enterprises, so that we are going to go with customer satisfaction and at the same time merchant satisfaction in order to ease their transactions. The second thing would be basically food industry. So usually, I think, since it is also somewhat related to the day-to-day scale, right? Most of them would be involved in food industry as well. So if we're implementing in food industry also, we will be able to cover up a large target audience in terms of merchants, at the same time in terms of customers as well.
Yeah, so adding on to what Gajan has mentioned, so as for example, initially the grocery store, or the SMEs that have very much direct contact in everyday life with the customers, because that will also improve the brand visibility of WeChat. So as they will always make sure that they will see the new innovative technologies that WeChat offer when customers are being highly engaged with the SME. So such SMEs will initially target, and then we'll target SMEs which offer like remote services, which are not that in day-to-day life being contacted with the customers, but it's, let's say, some sort of IT service offering SME. So things like that, or some other services offering SME. So they don't have direct contact with the customers in everyday life, but still they need to use the payment mechanisms introduced by WeChat Pay. So those sort of SMEs we target next. So initially, to increase the brand visibility as well as the comprehensiveness of the solutions and to get the solutions into the market, we'll come up, as Gajan mentioned, we'll first initially introduce for the grocery and those sort of SMEs the customer interaction is high on daily basis. Then towards the SMEs where the customer interaction is quite less, or in other words, quite limited on a daily basis.
Yes, also add on to that, why we think that we should start with some like this very moving goods is because like the ones that are very essential for day-to-day activities, because these are like these transactions are quite often. So these takes place like a lot of transaction at the same time. So a project is useless if it can't operate in a turbulent environment. So this would give us a chance to execute our project in a very turbulent environment, whereas the hustle is very high when it comes to these day-to-day goods. So that is why we thought of starting off with daily goods like food and groceries. So this would give us a sort of a chance to see how good this our project would execute in a turbulent and a very dynamic environment.
Adding something small, so it is also like something relating to ESG strategy that the WeChat Pay is also doing. They are meeting so much of stakeholders, but in a sustainable way. So this solutions that we're giving up is more sustainable. They can like measure the sustainability through the stakeholders that they are meeting in the market that is operating like more of it.
Okay, thanks. Amy, any more questions?
Maybe one more. And normally the SMEs are quite poor in China. So they need to have a lot of funding in terms of buying these machines and installing all these applications. So how can you help them in terms of funding?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say that in terms of funding, we also introduced one of our solutions, mutual transfers, where they could fund even in between themselves if it is possible. So if they are to go into much advanced funding, so let's say, so one option that we introduce within our solution is mutual transfers, where for short-term emergency funding needs, they could exchange funds between SMEs. So that's one that is within the WeChat Pay app as well. So that option. And the second one we would suggest is that if they want like large funds, so they could, if they want to access a bank loan or something like that, so WeChat Pay could come to bring forward and make sure that they, for example, if they need collateral which they don't have, so some guarantees which they don't have, so WeChat Pay could assist them in terms of that way to obtain some sort of funding like bank loans or anything. So we don't suggest WeChat Pay to go and invest, but we would suggest that WeChat Pay to assist them in terms of obtaining funding such as long-term loans, bank loans, and also if they need collateral or some guarantees, WeChat Pay could interfere and offer such things for the SMEs so that they could easily obtain the funding from those larger financial sources.
Adding to that, like business profile is also another option that we can give them, because WeChat is already doing some incubation for startups, right? So a business profile is something that we can give as a funding option for SMEs, where they can start their businesses through that particular WeChat Pay platform, through their business profile at a low concessionary rate. Like once WeChat Pay monitors how their revenue performances for year-on-year basis, and then we can charge a particular concessionary fee at a concessionary rate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
A good one. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we're almost running time. So the judges will now stay in the room to deliberate. Dear team, we will place you in the waiting room and bring you back in for the feedback session in a few minutes. Everyone else, please kindly leave the room and we will see you later for the results announcement. Thank you.